The growth of Unitarian Universalism depends on the strength of its soundtrack, the health of its music, and the sustenance of its youngest generations. As our faith continues to craft an identity in this modern day, we, the people and present stewards of this movement, hold a responsibility to nurture healthy relationships among us all. We are responsible to name the locations where such health is cracked and made way for injustice to seep. We are responsible to name these places and act in the direction of our values, even when this requires that we demonstrate our dissatisfaction with our kindred of faith. Over the past several months, the Association for UUMM Music Ministries has engaged in a series of negotiations around the support and fair treatment and employment practices for musicians who participate in our annual General Assembly. Frustrated with a long history of unjust and unprofessional treatment, the ties were severed between AUUMM and the GA once in August 2019, then reinstated after the GA Planning Committee promised not only discussion but also identifiable, actionable steps toward creating a better experience for music professionals. However, as of this writing, AUUMM has identified once again the GA Planning Committee to be not partnering in right relationship with them. In addition to the request that the UUAA, the Association of Congregations, hire a GA production manager to oversee the organizational and technical aspects involved with producing an event of GA's magnitude, AUUMM has made requests to hire and fairly compensate a GA music coordinator, a GA band leader, to fairly compensate a GA choir director, to fairly compensate a GA pianist. And most importantly, both organizations agreed that the Association for UU Music Ministries would be involved in the discussions of these hirings and contract negotiations. And despite these agreements, it has come to our attention that the GA music coordinator was hired without any discussion with the Association for UU Music Ministries, a deliberation that was agreed to have taken place. Additionally, there's been no conversation with the Association for Music Ministries on the role of the GA production manager, an urgently important role of communication and leadership. Due to the failure of the GA Planning Committee to act quickly on these tasks in a way that the Association for UU Music Ministries accounts as fair and just, due to the lack of open information about the processes being used, and given the timeline, once again, the Association for UU Music Ministries has removed its institutional support of General Assembly 2020. As leader of one of our denomination's most respected and most influential music ministries, I take seriously the influence of my response to this course of events. And after a series of conversations with leaders of the GA Planning Committee, the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, and the Association for Unitarian Universalist Music Ministries, I have decided to withdraw myself from leadership in the 2020 General Assembly. Quite a number of musicians have joined this demonstration across the faith, which will explain a significant difference in the artistic landscape of this General Assembly. But it is time that the promise of caring conversation be honored as a religious observance. It is time that the fair treatment of UU artists leave the world of hopeful aspiration and enter into the world of reality. It is time that patience for human and professional fairness at its basic levels be recognized for the foundational holiness they possess. The current shortfall of relationship is unacceptable. At the same time, I remain in steady support of the denominational leaders, especially those unprecedented number of leaders of color and marginalized identities who lead General Assembly's major services. Their wisdom is worth our attention, whether or not we are in conflict with the planning committee. This is why our worship team encourages you to attend this Sunday's GA with us. Attend in a way that Unitarian Universalism requires of us so often in life. To hold two truths, whole and in balance. There is not time to understand any truth monochromatically and expect to get anything done. So celebrate with us the beauty of growth in the voices which lead and modify our theological future. And celebrate with me the possibilities which have been exposed to nurture the health of Unitarian Universalism by healthful dissent and growth and affirmation of the democratic process.
We'd also like to raise awareness about another group that has withdrawn participation from General Assembly this year. The GA Youth and YA at GA volunteer staff decided after months of negotiations on virtual GA that they did not have the capacity to create a week's worth of virtual programming for little or no compensation. This decision was not made lightly, and it follows years and even decades of under-resourcing of youth and young adult national programming. Many know that we as UUs have a retention problem. Once youth bridge into young adulthood, their participation sharply drops off. We say that we value youth and young adult voices, but numbers and situations like these prove otherwise. We are extremely disappointed that the youth and young adult leaders at General Assembly felt that they were so undervalued that they had to withdraw their labor. At the same time, we are excited for Sunday's worship and hope you all have a chance to tune in. We want to support the people of color who are at the heart of Sunday's worship and our faith as a whole. And we hope that by understanding the context around this year's GA and the patterns of concern that we have about the support of all our communities at GA, we can move towards a more accessible, inclusive, and equitable experience in the future.